Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Bitcoin update. Many of you would know about Crypto Crew University. He is one of the biggest YouTubers in the cryptocurrency space, got over 200,000 subscribers, and, well earned. He makes great content. I've got no problem with him as an analyst. What I do have a problem with is his $80,000 Bitcoin top claim. He makes a claim that Bitcoin will be reaching a bull market top of only 80,000 USD. Now that's very low, because if you think about the last cycle in 2021, we saw a top of just under 70K. So thinking we're only going to see 80K is a very, very conservative prediction. Ultra conservative, right? It's only like 10, 15% higher than the last top. So it's raised some eyebrows, and he's definitely got some logic behind it. We're going to be looking into the logic behind it. He's got an interesting trend that he's identified on Bitcoin, a magical number of 5.3. We're going to show you what that means and why he's actually correct in identifying the trend. But then in the same breath, we're going to be showing you why the trend is completely and utterly ridiculous and unsustainable. So all respect to Crypto Crew University. I personally don't watch his content too much, but I know that he's a great analyst from what I've seen. But I will say that this trend is unsustainable and the prediction is most likely wrong. I'm going to be giving you 4 very clear reasons why I believe that, and you can tell me what you think at the end of the video. Guys, thanks for watching in advance. Let's get into it. Okay guys, before we get into the video, let's look at the charts we're going to be looking at in this video. First and foremost, we're going to be looking at Crypto Crew University's chart. Now, this is a blank chart of the entire price history of Bitcoin. We're going to be showing you his prediction, how he came to his prediction using the 5.3 formula, which is what we're going to call it. And we're going to be showing you why I don't think that is particularly valid and why I don't think it's going to play out like he thinks it will. We then are going to look into my cyclical prediction very briefly, because, it actually takes a long time to discuss my formulas on the 4-year cycle, my predictions in the 4-year cycle, why I think they're more valid. And I think they're objectively more valid, right? Obviously, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but I think these are actually stronger in general. And then we're going to be looking into another cyclical chart which shows just how low Crypto Crew University's price target is, and shows how we'll even break that price target maybe even in 2024 or early 2025, let alone late 2025. So basically, I don't agree with Crypto Crew University. I don't think this 5.3 trend that he's got will work, but we'll look at that in a second. Before we get into it, guys, Bitget Exchange, 5 times lower fees than Binance, the lowest trading fees on the market when you're including my 15% trading fee discount that you can acquire by signing up using my referral link. Go ahead and sign up to this exchange if you want to. It's got everything you need in an exchange. It's what I've used personally for over 18 months. I reached out to them for a partnership. They did not reach out to me, and that offers a degree of, authenticity in this advertisement, I suppose. So go ahead and sign up to that. Guys, without further ado, let's get into the video. So the interesting part about Crypto Crew University's prediction is it's actually incredibly simple. And I want to start by saying there's absolutely nothing wrong with simplicity. So all it does, and all he does, and I'll go through step by step with you now, is this. He does take the gain from each cycle, from the bottom of the cycle to the top of the cycle. For example, in 2010, he takes the gain to around 310,000% gain from the bottom to the top. So we go 310,000%, chuck it into a calculator roughly, right? And we divide it by 5.3, and there's that magic 5.3 number, and that gives us a gain of 58,490%. We can then measure and see that from the bottom of the next cycle to the top of the next cycle, the gain is exactly the same, all right? So basically, 59,493%. It's predicted, this cycle here, the gain from this cycle divided by 5.3 has predicted the gain from the bottom to the top in the next cycle. And you might think, oh, that's just a one-time thing. And it's not, right? Because we can go ahead and divide it by 5.3 once again. And we can see that where it's this cycle over here, from top to bottom, has estimated, divided by 5.3, that we're going to be seeing an 11,000% gain from the top to bottom in the next cycle. So here we go, 11,000% gain from top to bottom in the next cycle. Bang, perfect. And then from this cycle over here in 2017, divide by 5.3, it estimated that we would have seen a 2,000% gain roughly on Bitcoin from top to bottom, and that's exactly what we saw, 2,000% gain from top to bottom roughly. We can then go ahead and divide it by 5.3 once more and see that it actually predicts that Bitcoin will be seeing a 392% gain from the 15%, but from the 15K bottom. Okay, so let's go ahead and so basically let's just analyze what we said before we even come to any price targets at all. We basically just told you, I basically just showed you the trend, and it is a valid trend, and Crypto Crew University has pointed out this trend. He's not the only one to do it. I don't know if he was the first, he might have been the first, but I know that multiple people have jumped onto it now. The trend is, whatever the gain is from the bottom to the top on a major move, on a cyclical move, right? If you take that gain and divide it by 5.3 and apply it to the next cycle from the bottom, you will get the top price basically exactly, right, in that cycle. So if I take 5.3, if I take the gain from this cycle over here, okay, and I divide it by 5.3, and I know what the bottom price is, I can hence apply immediately at the bottom price and know what the top price is years in the future. Now, I'm not going to say that this trend is useless. I'm not going to say that this trend isn't amazing in a certain regard. It certainly is amazing, and it's played out, 4 times now, and so maybe even more than that, 5 times. And so, to immediately discount it and say it's not going to play out this time is ridiculous. Let's go ahead and, show you why I don't like it. But first and foremost, we're going to apply this percentage gain. So a 390% gain roughly from the 15K bottom. Where would that take us? Well, let's get an actual measurement tool out this time. Okay, we can go ahead and get a price range tool. We can apply it to the 15.4K bottom, roughly. Okay, 390% gain from the 15.4K bottom, roughly, would take us to around 76K. Now, I believe at some point Crypto Crew has said it could be 84K. I could be mistaken in saying that, but just for the sake of argument, it doesn't really matter what the exact number is. Let's just say 84K, and let's just say meet it in the middle. Let's just say 80K. So basically, Crypto Crew University is predicting, based on the 5.3 trend, the 5.3 pattern, okay, that Bitcoin will reach around 80K in the next cycle. Now, I don't think that he is opposed to the 4-year cycle theory. I don't think he's opposed to the date range trend in the 4-year cycle theory. So, for the sake of argument, I'm going to say that he agrees that the next cycle will end, okay? The bull market top will be in Q4 2025. Therefore, he's thinking that the top will be in around October 2025. Now, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's exactly true, but look, I don't know when he thinks the bull market top will be exactly, but it's not actually relevant, so it doesn't really matter what he thinks. The point is, if he believes in 4-year cycle, which I believe he does, I believe he's a cyclical analyst, he should believe that the bull market top will be in 2025, and the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter what his opinion is, because I know that to be the case. Right? And I know that to be the case because the 4-year cycle trend is not my opinion, it's an objective data range, right? It's an objective trend. It's a date range trend. We've got 5 micro trends. Look at the color-coded, writings over here and apply it to the color-coded date range measurements. You can see there is 5 established, very well established micro trends making the larger trend started by the halving. It doesn't matter what Crypto Crew University thinks about the date of the top. I don't know what he thinks about it. It doesn't matter what he thinks about it. The fact of the matter is, this is the most likely date at the top, Q4 2025, based on the 4-year cycle, which isn't a theory anymore. It's an actual date range trend. So I believe that his prediction of price, okay, at 80K holds some degree of validity. But the date range is certainly to be, on a cyclical level, the date range trend is certainly looking at a Q4 2025 top. So therefore, Crypto Crew University is looking at 80K, and that 80K target would most likely be in Q4 2025. That's what he's looking at, basically. Again, I'm not certain about the prediction, but that's the objective trend. Prediction in regards to date range, that is. So he's looking at an 80K top, okay? Now, what is the problem with this? Well, first and foremost, I just want to say this is quite easy to poke holes in. Okay, and a lot of people don't like how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it very, very simply. The 5.3 formula, the 5.33 trend, relies on dividing every single cyclical gain by 5.3 in every single cycle. He is predicting that this will continue, and of course, the trend is your friend until it ends. There is reason to believe things like that. For example, the 4-year cycle trend, I say the same thing all the time. The trend is your friend until it ends, and that's very much true, and for that reason, he does hold a certain amount of validity in abiding by this 5.3 trend in bringing the price target to around 80K by late 2025. He is not wrong in doing so because obviously the trend is your friend until it ends. However, I would say it's not as likely to play out as something else like my price predictions, and I'll show you exactly why very, very easily. Now, there's multiple clear reasons why he is wrong, and here's the first reason, and it's extremely simple. So, he is expecting a 390% gain on Bitcoin from the 15.4K bottom to the 80K roughly top, okay? Now, let's go ahead and see whether this trend is sustainable, because if you have a trend, it needs to be sustainable. For example, the 4-year cycle trend is sustainable because it is a date range trend. It is not based on price points. It doesn't matter what the price is. The fact of the matter is, it tells us when we're going to bottom, when we're going to top. It doesn't tell us what price we're going to bottom, what price we're going to top. Therefore, it's a sustainable trend. It can play out forever regardless of prices. This trend is not sustainable because all we need to do is understand that if we divide this number by 5.3 and hence predict the next cycle's top price, we can see it would be a 74% gain. Therefore, if Bitcoin does in fact go to 80k, okay, roughly in 2025 or whenever it may be, it doesn't actually matter when it is, and we do in fact see a drop that we have seen at a similar percentage to what we've seen previously, say a 74% drop. To remind you guys, we saw an 86% drop in the first cycle, an 84% drop in the second cycle, and a 79% drop in this cycle we currently just saw. So let's say we saw a 74% drop. Let's say it takes us to 20k on Bitcoin, and then we see a 79% gain. Okay, we would only see Bitcoin top out in the cycle after this cycle at 37k. All right, let's just be ultra generous and say that Bitcoin sees a bear market that only takes us down 50%. Okay, let's say the next bear market only takes Bitcoin down 50%. Okay, and then we see a 79% gain from there. Even then, even in that ultra bullish scenario, we would only be reaching a top of 73k in the next cycle. And that's going to be like 2029, guys. So basically what he's saying, I don't know if you understood what I said just then, it's very, very simple. Basically what he's saying that Bitcoin is going to reach an 80k top in the next cycle, in this current cycle that we're in, right? After the halving, 80k top after the halving, okay? Wherever it may be, I think it's going to be late 2024 is when the top's going to be. I think that's objectively true. Therefore, I don't care where he thinks it's going to be because that's the most supported opinion. Okay, so he thinks it's going to reach 80k, all right, in the next cycle using this 5.3 trend. Well, guess what? If you apply the 5.3 trend simply one more cycle further, we will never reach an all-time high on Bitcoin ever again. I'll say it again. If you stick by this trend past this cycle that we're currently in, you will never reach an all-time high on Bitcoin ever again. What this shows you is that either you think Bitcoin is going to die, okay, based on this 5.3 trend, or this trend is going to break because it's unsustainable. Guys, trends are unsustainable. Trends do not last forever. They are your friend until they end, but they do not last forever. All right? And you might think, oh, Wolf, by your logic, you should agree that we're going to stick by this trend until it ends, which would be after this cycle here. The fact of the matter is, if a trend is clearly unsustainable like this one is, it's not going to last forever and it's going to break. That is the first reason why I think this trend is invalid. That is the first reason why I think his prediction is invalid. And that's the most simplistic reason and the most basic reason. And look, if you think that this trend is valid, if you think that we saw the bottom at 15.4k and we're going to go up to the top at 80k as per this perfect trend that's played out every single time, that means you think we're never going to see a top on Bitcoin ever again above 80k. That means you think that Bitcoin will top out at 80k. That's it. It's over. That is what he's inherently saying by following this trend. So the first reason for this trend being invalid is it's unsustainable, and I typed that up. Now, I have two more reasons, okay? Reason two is because there simply are better predictions to be made based on more data. Now, this magical 5.3 number, yes, it's been right in the past, but we have reason to believe it's unsustainable. Therefore, we can't rely on it anymore. We have other trends, okay? We have trends such as the fact that Bitcoin goes down a certain amount every single bear market, which makes this trend unsustainable. We have other trends such as the fact that there are future predictions to be made on Bitcoin based on actual mathematical formulas that go past a number 5.3. Okay, I've done whole videos on these formulas, and I've come to price conclusions on Bitcoin that we will be seeing a top between 103k and 196k in Q4 2025. Now, I know that's very, very vague, and you can watch the video where I came to these predictive, I went through these formulas with you, and I came to these predictions. You can watch the video. I made a video on it very, very recently, just about a week ago. So we basically predicted that the top in Q4 2025 will be between 103k and 196k. I know that's very vague. I know that's a big price range. We will be able to narrow that down after the halving. We need the halving price on Bitcoin so we can implement that into the formula and get an extra data point. By that point, we'll be able to narrow it down by a $20,000 to $30,000 range, which is much more reasonable. But right now, there are mathematical formulas, and again, I'm not going to go through them now, it'll take too long. There are mathematical formulas that exist that you can apply to the 4-year cycle date range trend, which is a very, very real trend, to try and predict price points, which give you a much higher target than 80k. And that target, the target it gives you, are actually reasonable and actually comparable to previous cyclical gains, including diminishing returns, and not targets that are going to lead to Bitcoin never topping out ever again and dying. Okay, so the fact of the matter is, and you can, again, I'll watch the video, I posted it about a week ago, I'll try linking in the description. The fact of the matter is, there are more sustainable trends. So the point is, the first point for why this trend is unsustainable, for why this trend is invalid, is because it's unsustainable. The second point is simply because there are more sustainable ways to make price predictions. So for those of you who are looking for a third reason why it's invalid, is simply because of this chart right here. This chart is two forming date range trends on Bitcoin and the Bitcoin monthly chart. Okay, so we see there is a trend forming. Now, neither of them are valid yet, okay, but there is a trend forming basically that shows us there is roughly 1,100 days between the all-time high of the cycle and the break of the cycle's all-time high. That has happened on two occasions, okay? We then have a trend forming that there is roughly a 300 and something% gain between the bottom and the halving, okay? The bottom and the peak before the halving, I should say. That has happened on two occasions. Now, if either of these trends are correct, and it's likely that one of them will become correct, and by correct, I mean if either of them see 3 confirmed data points, again, it's likely that one of them will seek 3 confirmed data points, given the fact that we're in an overall, very strong 4-year cycle theory. One of these trends will be proven correct most likely. If either of them is proved correct, which is a very, very likely scenario, we will be seeing the Bitcoin all-time high broken sometime between April 2024 and November 2024. So let me put it this way. If we're going to reach, right, an all-time high on Bitcoin, if we're going to break this pink line here, I'm going to draw a pink line. If we are going to break this pink line here on Bitcoin sometime between, right, April 2024, let me draw up a few lines here. Sometime between April 2024 and November 2024, and I'll make them pink so you can see it, and then I'll go over what I said again so you don't forget. Right? If we're going to see this horizontal pink line broken sometime between these two vertical pink lines, what makes you think that we're only going to see, okay, we're only going to see another 15% gain in the entire 1 year period between that point, when that is meant to be historically the most bullish period of the entire 4-year market cycle? The fact of the matter is, guys, and we can make that a point in itself, and I'm actually going to add another point to the list. The third point is essentially, if we're going to see an all-time high in 2024, and then we've got an entire year of the market cycle left before this supposed 80k top, right? That's not just that what we're going to see a 15% gain in the market period that's meant to be the most bullish in the entire price history of Bitcoin. It simply doesn't make sense. It simply doesn't make sense. So the third point is this. The third point is he's essentially making the claim inherently that Bitcoin will not see a bull market when it usually sees a bull market. And we've seen that 3 times. So he's saying that the bull market trend, a fundamental part of the 4-year cycle theory, will be broken. He's implying that there will be no 2025 bull market in a sense, because a 15% gain in a year period where we're meant to see the highest gains on Bitcoin ever is not really a bull market, isn't it? Okay, and the fourth point I want to make is quite simply this. We are in a period, right, just after the bottom, in which we're meant to see kind of dead price action, boring price action, whatever it may be. We're pre-halving right now, but we have already seen a gain of 104%, okay? From the top we just reached at 34k, we only have another 150% gain to go, and we're meant to be seeing that gain over the next, 3 years, basically, or 2.5 years. So we've already seen like 33% of the gain that we're meant to see in this entire cycle as per Crypto Crew University's prediction. So, and this kind of reinforces point 3. He's basically implying that there's going to be no 2025 bull market. That's what he's saying. He's essentially saying, and he's indirectly saying this. I know he's not saying this directly, but this is what he's indirectly implying. We've already saw a 104% gain in a 6-month period in a time which the cycle is not meant to be that bullish, okay? There's not much left for us to do, right? We've got 2.5 years. What is he expecting to happen? The fact of the matter is, this trend, this 5.3 trend, right? Not only is it predicting a very unreasonably low price target, not only is it saying inherently that Bitcoin is never going to see an all-time high again after this upcoming cycle, not only is it saying that there's going to be no proper 2025 bull market, it's also ignoring the fact that there's better ways to predict the price point, okay, such as the formulas that I've come up with over here, which predict a more reasonable price point, which are more reasonable even based on diminishing returns. It's also ignoring the fact that we usually see a roughly 80% drop every bear market, and hence it would be unsustainable because we never see a price higher than 80k again. It's also ignoring the fact that, we'd see most likely an all-time high in Bitcoin in 2024. Therefore, there will be no 2025 bull market. We'd have no gains to have left in a 2025 bull market. Not only is it doing all that, but it's simply trying its best to invalidate the entire 4-year cycle date range trend, which is much stronger than any magical number you can ever bring up on a chart. So I'm not saying that this shouldn't be looked at, because it certainly should be looked at. Again, I believe in the trend is your friend until it ends. I believe trends have validity until they end. But I also believe that in the same way as I believe this 5.3 number trend, as I believe in the 4-year cycle. The 4-year cycle is predicting a all-time high on Bitcoin in October 2025. Extrapolations on price points taken from the 4-year cycle predict much higher price points than this magical number. This magical number is more unsustainable, and the preliminary data we're looking at to predict price points such as next year show us that this magical number price trend predicts that we'll see no real 2025 bull market, which in a way takes away from the 4-year cycle, and in a way tries to invalidate and debunk the 4-year cycle. And that brings me to my last reason. My last reason is simply this. It implies that the 4-year cycle will end or be dramatically hindered. So again, do I think we shouldn't look at this price prediction method of 5.3? No, I think we definitely should look at it. I think we definitely should monitor it. There's no harm in monitoring something, but I think that it's definitely unsustainable, and I think we've seen the last successful full play out of it in the last cycle. I don't think that we're going to be seeing it happen again. I don't think that the top will be 80k. Maybe we see some sort of local top at 80k. But I on top of this, let's just be logical, right? When you break an all-time high on Bitcoin, you don't see a 20% gain from the all-time high break and then top out again. It simply just doesn't happen. When you break an all-time high, there's a saying in cryptocurrency, there's a saying in financial markets, higher prices lead to higher prices. Okay, people say, oh, what will the catalyst be for higher prices if there's no money left? Higher prices will be the catalyst for higher prices. That's how people work. That's how greed works. That's how the market works. If the price goes higher, people buy. That's simply what will be the catalyst. Higher prices lead to higher prices. If we break the all-time high, we get news articles, we get everything, ETFs approval, whatever. We get all this hype going around on Bitcoin at 69k, and you think we'd only go to 80k? You think we'd only go 20% higher than that? It just doesn't, even at a fundamental level. You can just add another reason to this list. It's not a mathematical thing, it's not a mathematical way to debunk it, whatever. But it's just illogical. It just doesn't make sense. We've never seen that before. We don't see Bitcoin break all-time highs and then go 20% higher. And you might think, oh, how can you say that? Because we've only seen 3 all-time highs or whatever. The fact of the matter is we've seen all-time highs break all the time. We can even go on this level here and look at it from this perspective. Hold on one second. We can say, oh, look when the all-time high broke over here, okay? We broke the all-time high, immediately skyrocketed, okay? And then we broke the all-time high over here, immediately we skyrocketed. Every time we break all-time highs, we skyrocketed. We don't go up 20% and then top. It just simply doesn't make sense to believe in this 5.3 trend in this cycle. Perhaps in the last cycle it did, because it made more sense with diminishing returns, but this time it doesn't. So guys, that was a very, very long roundabout way to say that the 5.3 trend is an unsustainable trend that predicts Bitcoin will die and predicts the 4-year cycle will end, basically. And hence, I do not believe it, but I will monitor it, and I do respect Crypto Career University for bringing it to the attention of the market, because it has worked historically. There's no reason to ignore it. We will watch it, and that's the video, guys. All right, Crypto Academy, if you want to learn how to trade, you want to learn how to analyze markets and potentially debunk trends like this, which you wouldn't be able to do so without the technical analysis knowledge that you would acquire from a course like this. You can do a course like this, right? You can read the website information about the course, you can read what we offer in the course, and you can ultimately throw us an email at cryptoacademycourses@gmail.com. We've also got a VIP group. We trade altcoins on there sub daily. We have around 15 altcoins pending right now. We just had an activation on C98, and we can show you what C98 looked like. I mean, absolutely excellent trade in there on VIP. This is just an example of one of the trades that activated just yesterday. We'll go to the daily chart and show you. I don't know why I'm looking at the Binance chart, but it doesn't really matter. Point is, we saw an activation on C98. We saw huge gains on C98, right? Gains, 40% gains, huge gains in a very short period of time. Just another a beautiful VIP trade. We've got a 79% win rate on VIP, which is 4 out of every 5 trades reaching profits, which is absolutely superb. Check out the VIP group. The information is in the description below. You can join the information group, check out the results, check out the prices, etc. All right, guys, that's the video. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.